As I mentioned, reflexive reasoning, just like reflective reasoning, is not inherently good or bad. You need a fair amount of each reasoning to be able to do proper decisions at any point of time. But let's try to understand, when is reflexive reasoning becoming an issue? Let's take a very, very simple example. Imagine that you have 3 people here that you don't really know anything about. The only thing that you have in terms of information on these people is that one of this person is single, one of this person is married, and one of this person do not have any marital status. You do not know if they're single or married. And the question here is, knowing that this first person is in a relationship with the unknown person, and the unknown person is also in a relationship with the married person. The question is a married person having a relationship with a single person? With the information given, is it possible to know if a married person is having a relationship with a single person? And the answers are yes, no, or cannot be determined based on the available information. Now, try to come up with an answer to that quickly. Pause the video for a second, and then you can move on to look at the answer. So, essentially, we have the 3 people, we know what the relationships are, and the question is a married person having a relationship with a single person? What the vast majority of people are going to tell us is that we do not know, we do not have enough information at hand to know if a person is having a relationship with if a single person is having a relationship with a married person. We do not know, the person in the middle, what is their marital status, and that's kind of like blocking everything. But what we can do, if we start kind of like thinking about it in a deeper, more structured way, we know that there is just 2 options, right? There is 2 options for our person in the center: single or married. And based on the fact that this person is single, we would be able to answer that question. We would know that a single person is having a relationship with a married person. That is based on option 1. But the important thing to notice here is that if we, let's say, if we remove completely the uncertainty here, we make the answer contingent on option 2, on the person in the center being married, then we also fall into the answer that yes, somebody single is having a relationship with a married person. And that is exactly what, let's say, what the shortcoming of reflexive reasoning is, and what is the strength of reflective reasoning. It allows you to deconstruct, to think deeper, and to, let's say, remove the uncertainty of a situation that, in a more, let's say, in a more structured way, in a more intelligent way, and to arrive at answers, at decisions that you might not arrive with if you only relied on reflexive reasoning, on fast, instinctive, qualitative thinking. It's the over-reliance on heuristics and shortcuts and intuitive, fast thinking. This over-reliance is what usually leads us to complexity reduction in the way that we gather some data, in the way that we process some data. Uncertainty neglect, just not really understanding what is the uncertainty or what is the lack of uncertainty around a specific situation. And then belief adhesion, just our sticky belief adhesion to a common understanding of what an issue is. These 3 types of errors that we do are exactly what comes from over-reliance on reflexive reasoning, and that is precisely what we are going to label our cognitive biases. Our cognitive biases are systemic deviation from rationality due to over-reliance on reflective reasoning. This is the formal definition that we're going to give to cognitive biases. And to understand how these cognitive biases impact your decision making, what you have to do is you have to go deeper down in each one of them. Because although it's useful to understand at the high level that cognitive biases are essentially over-reliance on reflexive reasoning, and that therefore it impacts your decision making, the only way to truly understand the mechanism of impact, the mechanism of deviation, systemic deviation from pattern of rationality, the only way to understand how this mechanism work is to go through each of these cognitive biases to see how our over-reliance on heuristics play tricks on us, play tricks on our brain. And that is why you have to go into the confirmation, the overconfidence, the anchoring, the survivorships. All of these biases have been carefully cataloged, labeled, studied, and are very, very useful to understand how to overcome our over-reliance on reflexive reasoning.